Okay, here's a trade that I'm in right now. This is in the E-minis. It's a 10 range chart. And I got in, in this bar here, even though it's green and turned up and traded up against me. I got in when the delta hit 10,000 and we're trading down here, negative 10,000. You can see the min delta is minus 10,397. So at the most it was minus 10,397. It was never positive, although it did close negative 7,543. Obviously there was about 2,500, almost 3,000 buyers later in the bar to sort of take it higher. The next bar came up, and it looked like, well, hey, we're probably going to start to go higher. I stayed short. I was waiting for these, the sellers to come back in. There was, we got down to this level here at 55.5, 56, or so we'll call it 55.5, 55.75. And I guess you could throw in 56. I mean, it traded 7,500, 10,000, 6,000. It's 25,000, 23, 24,000 contracts traded right there at that level. Just on the bid side. I'm not even counting what traded on the offer side. So it's very strong support. And, we're sort of trading on the other side. Like I said, we had a big, massive negative delta. There was still this buying imbalance down here. And, I said I got short. 10,000 is a number you don't see, every day. I mean, you rarely see it. And I said I got short because it's just such a big number, so it's one of those things I call a wow number, that you just sit there and you say, wow, that's a doozy. I really wasn't expecting as big a pullback that you got up here, up to almost 59.5. So it was a solid 4 points against me, at one point. But really, if these sellers, that are appearing in here are going to show their strength again, and they're not going to meet the support that you saw here, where's the market going to go? How low is it going to go? It could be a day that just goes, is going to just go down, 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 down all day long. There was some buying in this bar, this second bar here, where you have the positive delta of 2,000. But then again, it came in, the sellers came in, and, we settled this bar down. The next bar is lower with a negative delta. And right now, it's just, I said, we're on the back foot. The market seems to be on the back foot, and we're heading lower. So we'll see if we're going to, keep going lower. I sort of want to hold this trade for a while. That's why I was, when it was going against me a bit, I was still fairly confident that, that the market should continue to sell off. I mean, I'm looking for these sellers to come back in. The low for the day is 48. So, we're not that far away from it. We're trading 54. This line here is the low for the day. So, if we get another push like we got here with the big negative delta, it's rare to get a big strong negative delta in the bar to turn around. But, maybe it could have given me a slightly better entry. But, nevertheless, I got in at 5.5. So we'll see if we're going to make that push down here to this low at 48. Just real quick, I do see some volume, being traded in here. So there is some support at this 53.5, 53.75, 54 level. The delta is still strong. I mean, still negative, still strong negative, which is a good sign. I mean, it's jumping around pretty good. It'll trade like 53 3/4, and it'll trade 54 1/4. There is some, does appear to be some support down here around the 3.5, 3 3/4 level. I'd like to see the market get through that level. But, just talking about this size real quick here, this 10,000, 7,000 and 6,000 on either side of it. Now, there's two ways to view it. One, there's a big passive buyer there. Someone supporting the market that doesn't want to see the market, go any lower. Two, there's a lot of, smaller buyers in there. And three, that obviously there's a lot of sellers selling into those bids. And normally I see size like that, and I'm interested to actually get long, not necessarily get short. The way I did. However, I was just mesmerized, I think, by the very strong delta. I mean, I said, 10,000 is not a number that you don't really see, especially you don't see it that early in the morning. So it's telling me there's, even though there's buying there, there's extremely strong selling going on in there, which it sort of got my ears pricked, and like, well, why am I, it's only 8:50 in the morning. Why is there such strong selling going on right now? But I mean, normally I would view this in a bullish sense, especially with this 1702 selling imbalance on the low. Usually I'm looking for that to pop up and go higher. Although when I got short, I don't think it was, I don't remember seeing it as an imbalance at the time. I mean, it occurred a little bit later. But, it's one of those things where, I tend to like to wait till the bar closes to have confirmation. But really, having that, that delta being so strong, was really what drew me into it. I sort of didn't, I'll say, didn't care. But, it's one of those things that I really was really drawn into it by that strong delta. Because I know that if these sellers are going to reappear, and it's early in the day, it's only 8:50. So if these sellers are going to reappear, it's going to be, it could be a very strong down day. You see right now we're trading 1851. Yeah, I mean, it's, that's, I'll say that's the beauty of order flow, but I mean, that's something that order flow is only an order flow chart can give you, is this information that you're seeing, this heavy volume trade in there, and you can sort of make up your mind, especially seeing the heavy delta there. That will help you, sort of decide what you want to do with it. I mean, are you going to trade it, or are you just going to sit there and admire it? Or, I mean, I prefer to sit there and trade it, actually. So, so I'm short at 55.5. We're close. I mean, on a 10 range chart, I'm usually going for 5 points, okay? You said, this trade rallied up against me up to 59, I think it was. 59. So that's, almost 4 points against me at one point, which, is, is a decent amount. Normally I don't let it go against me that much, but usually, if I'm looking for 5 points, I'm not going to have a stop that's 2 or 3 points away. And I said usually I'll say I'm right, but usually my trades will start to work out in the right direction pretty quick. So I'll start maybe holding a 5-point stop. If I'm looking for a 5-point profit, which would give me a 1-to-1 trade, and just sort of manage it from there. Like I see now that the selling is starting to come in, and it's still on the back foot, and I know we're getting close to that low at 48. So I'm probably a little bit more willing to give it more of a chance to go lower. I have a ratio here. I have a 0 print, indicating there's a 0 under here, which I find interesting because the market couldn't come back up to it and put a print in there. And obviously, when we traded up here, somebody just sold it down through that level, and the market never got back up there. So I mean, for now, I'm looking, to see if this point of control can hold. Each point of control is steadily lower, and it's still a big negative delta. And I got my eye on that low at 48, if we could get there or not. I'd be a little bit greedy in that sense, but when we're close to a level like that, the low, and I see just a lot of selling coming in, I'm more inclined to just let it try and run its course. Yeah, it's kind of struggling. I'll say struggling right now, but it's it's starting to go a little bit sideways. But I said we're coming into the low here, so it's not uncommon for a market to sort of, I'll say, back off a little, but sort of be hesitant and coming into the low. Of course, I would love to see it just shoot right down to the low and take it out and make new lows. But I mean, I said the market's going to do what it wants to do. Let's put in some decent volume numbers in this bar, even right up at the top of the bar. And what I want to see right now is if this point of control here at 51.25 is going to hold as a support level, but as if you're going to see, because earlier you saw the mine in here 4,000, 2,000. If it's going to get through that level again, just as you have this level down here, we got through it again. Like I said, obviously it's going to sound very obvious, but if we're going to hit the low, we got to get through that level. I just want to see if those. What I'm curious to see is if those buyers are still going to be there or not. We're kind of struggling around there. Okay, it's trading that. Well, it's starting to trade there. You got an imbalance there, which is nice. But, I'd like to see that low taken out. I won't get taken out in this bar, but it'd have to start a new bar. But what's interesting is, if you're watching the delta down here, the min and the max. Before this min delta was very small, and the max delta was, 700. This was like 50 or something. But now look at it. It's minus 1200, and you have it for the bar. It's minus, well, it's jumping around here, but it's minus 500, 900, 700. I mean, there's good size being traded, at these levels here. I do sort of see some of this buying that you saw earlier coming back in here with the size of 1100, the size of 1000. So obviously those, there's participation in here at these levels. It's just, this is one of the things that you have to do as a trader. You have to decide, you want to get out because you're seeing you're hitting some support here. When you came through and hit these levels before, it was on, very thin volume. Now you got very strong volume. This bar is putting in some decent volume. The volume for the bar so far is 27,000. It's still a shade less than the bar before it, but we're still in the middle of the bar. What I'm going to be curious to see is if the sellers are going to come in. You have this big, like I said, I'm mesmerized literally by this big negative delta. Are we going to get another push? Are these, is someone going to get out of their position, but is someone going to come in and sell a boatload of S&Ps again, that you had here? Are they going to do it? It tends to come in waves sometimes, it seems. We'll see. These bars are forming, and there's very good volume, but at the same time, it's going back and forth. Now this is interesting. The delta for the bars is positive. It turned positive. It went from minus 1200 to 0. Now it's coming negative again. So now they're selling, and there, boom, we took out that low. So we didn't take it out. We hit it. Now we took it out, and we're getting some more aggressive selling come in here. 50-50 is usually, it's 5 points is usually the level I'm looking for, but I kind of wanted to make a run at this low, and I'm hoping as we get near that low, these sellers are going to reappear soon. I'm already at my profit target, but I do want to give this trade a little bit more. I do have this ratio here as a sort of a continuation, telling me the move is continuing. Right now I have this single print also telling me that, you know, the move looks like it, you know, it's got some continuation to it. Yeah, it's one of those things as we get within shouting distance of the low, you know, I feel the market sometimes is drawn to it. You know, people are interested to try and push it to that level. But of course, that's not always the case. You know, it's interesting. We did meet with some nice buying in here, you know, 2000. So it's, you know, we're getting near the low, but you're seeing buyers step in. It's not an easy run towards the low. You know, that buying imbalance there of 1842 right here, I'm not concerned about that. You know, I said it's not uncommon to get a buying imbalance on, you know, just right off the low. In the sense that, you know, it's going to be formed because, you know, generally at the bottom of a bar you tend to have lesser volume, and, you know, often if the market is, you do get a bit more volume here, so it's going to be more often than not you do get imbalances there. I think trying to read those as something, you know, more than they are is you know, not necessarily a good thing. Okay, so now we got on the other side of 1850. And you're seeing, you know, the selling really start to pick up. You know, now it's got a delta of minus 2,000. You know, got down here, we see 1900, 2800. You know, even down here it's 1500. You know, what's interesting is, you know, as you're near the lows, the deltas are consistently strong negative. Well, not this one, but, you know, 1900, 1600, 2500. You know, that's, you know, signs of good selling, which is what you want to see as you're coming into the low. You don't want to be coming into the low on I'll say light deltas, but, you know, light selling. You want to see the strong selling, you know, where people that are, you know, really dominating the market are coming into the market. So yeah, it's still trading around that 50.25 level. But that's where, the point of control is. It's where you got the most volume. So obviously, if, yeah, I don't know, that's this is around my profit target actually. I've been very patient with it, and it's going on a half hour already, but I start to, I'll say, get itchy, but it's one of those things where how am I going to hold it all day long or not? I don't know. It's spending a lot of time down here. I said I want to give it a shot to go lower, but at the same time I don't want to mess it up, so to speak. Yeah, I really think it should have moved to the low already, but I said you're at this 50.25 level. There's very good buying. 50.25, 50.5. It's the delta is still negative, but earlier it was very strongly negative. You're looking at close to 3,000 negative. Now it's only minus 1,000. But I said we're just a bit close to the low for the day. That I said if we're going to make a run at it, I'm expecting a pop basically between 49 and 48. If we could just get down to 49, go offered at 49, I think we can hit 48 pretty quick. Well, I tried. It's kind of unsuccessful. I'm gonna throw a bid in there at 50.5. Just if we're gonna come back down to it, just happy to get out. And we'll see. I might just pay up. I don't want to necessarily pay up, but it's just one of those things. It's I said I tried to get a little bit more out of the trade than and then the market was willing to give me. But we're still hanging around the lows, so we'll see if it can still make another run at it. I don't want to turn this winning trade into a loser, though. Anyway, I just puked out of it at 2.5. That's it's one of those where I was looking at it and I was really expecting it to come lower. once I just sort of started ticking up here, I'm not necessarily convinced because you don't have the strong delta in here anymore. I said at one point it was minus 2,777, but it ended up at minus, 354, and even at one point in the bar it was positive. So it's almost a 3,000, a shift of 3,000 lots from, negative to positive, which is a shift in supply and demand. I was really hoping to see some more selling come in that you saw here, the very strong negative delta. It didn't necessarily come in. I mean, it came in, but it was still met with buying. In there, it just wasn't enough to overrun the sellers, or sorry, enough to overrun the buyers. And now the market is just starting to tick back up. So, it was a trade that it went against me early on. I took a bit of heat on it, and it went in my favor, went to my target, but, I tried to overanalyze it and get a little bit, I'll say greedy, but I tried to get a little bit more out of it. I really felt I could. There's times when you can, there's times when you can't. Today was one of those days I just couldn't get anything extra out of it. So, that's it. So what I get, 3 points out of it. Which is, it's not the best trade in the world, but it's a winner. I said I should have got 5 out of it, but I tried to get a little greedy and finesse it a bit more. I said sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's like in sports. Sometimes you get the calls, sometimes you don't get the calls, but in the end, it all sort of just equals itself out. So, thank you, and we'll look for the next trade.